Moment, but let's turn to federal politics because the recent internal battles within the federal coalition has further cemented the growing support for One Nation in recent opinion surveys. For the first time in its 29-year history, One Nation is polling above 20% nationally and seems to be around the combined vote of the Liberal and National parties. We had the Prime Minister in the studio yesterday talking about this and more, and now we're joined by the leader of One Nation, Pauline Hanson. Now, Pauline, welcome to News Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
What do you put down your rising support to?
I think people are looking at our policies, what we want to do for the country and for people. The big issues have been mass migration, the net zero, and also the cost of living. They're the three of the main things that are concerning Australians. They don't feel the major political parties are really listening to them, so they're looking for change. They've turned to One Nation. I've been consistent with my message over the years. We've put our policies out to address this. People are warming to our policies, and I'm pleased to see that they want to vote for One Nation now because they don't trust the two major political parties.
We might come to some of your policies in a moment. Barnaby Joyce was on our show about a fortnight ago saying he had helped attract more people and make your party more acceptable. Do you agree with that? And are you looking at more coalition defectors at the moment?
I agree with what Barnaby said. Of course he has enhanced the party. You don't actually have a former Deputy Prime Minister to come across to a party with his credentials and it doesn't enhance the party. People are drawn to Barnaby. He's just an average bloke. He's out there fighting for the Australian people and he's so pleased to be on board with One Nation now. So it has been an addition to the party. Like all the other members, and just having Sean Bell elected to the New South Wales Parliament, he's working extremely hard, as is Tyron Whitten for Western Australia and the other members of Parliament. We are getting elected in the state Parliament. So it's going extremely well.
You've got an electoral test of sorts, so does probably the federal coalition in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, in the seat of Farrer. Of course, Susan Lee is retiring from politics. Have you selected a candidate yet?
Not as yet. We were overwhelmed with the number of people that did put in submissions to want to be the candidate. I think there was about 80 submissions. That's extraordinary. It is going to be a Melbourne Cup race with a number of people that will be standing as candidates, but we're going through a process now at the moment, looking at those people who have nominated. Then we will put a handful before the branch, and it will be the branch of Farrer that will actually, help select who they want as their candidate. OK,
so you won't be picking that. I just want to take you to something that's in the headlines at the moment. On Monday, you did an interview with Sky News that has triggered quite a bit of reaction. I just want to play our viewers a bit of this in case they've missed it.
Their religion concerns me because what it says in the Quran, they hate Westerners, and that's what it's all about. You say, oh, well, there's good Muslims out there. Well, I'm sorry. How can you tell me there are good Muslims?
And that was you speaking on Sky News on Monday. Your comments about Muslims have been condemned by Islamic leaders. They've called them divisive, hateful and wrong. Even Conservatives' National Senator Matt Canavan has condemned it and questioned whether you have what it takes to lead a major party. What is your view on Muslim Australians?
Of course, they're going to say that, but I've heard more hateful things come out of the mouths of people, imams, and giving their sermons on the streets of Sydney mainly and other places in Australia, but nothing's been said about that. What happened after the October 7th massacre that happened in Israel, plus also the Bondi, people were cheering. It's a shame. What I'll say is we don't know these people anymore. The way they've been just bringing them into the country here, Australians are living in fear and they are concerned for the future. The highest issue that's concerning Australians is security. I went to Bondi after the attack and families said to me, we can't allow our children out anymore. We're living in fear. And that's what it's about.
I just want to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
People that come into the country very carefully, we need to vet the people, know who we're bringing in the country. And I oppose the ISIS brides coming here, and I oppose the people from Gaza coming into Australia.
But what is your view on Australian Muslims? Do you genuinely believe there are no good Muslims in Australia?
No, I don't genuinely believe that, because one woman stood for me. She was a Muslim, not a practising Muslim. If I've offended anyone out there that doesn't believe in Sharia law or multiple marriages or wants to bring the ISIS brides in, or people from Gaza who believes in a caliphate and all the rest of it, then I apologise to you for my comment. But in general, that's what they want, a world caliphate. And I'm not going to apologise for the fact is I will have my say now before it's too late. I'm at the end of my life. I'm worried about the future of this nation. I don't want Australia to become like Britain or France or Canada or Germany or these other countries that regret the number they have allowed in the country that have slowly been taking control of it. And when we have our politicians, our federal politicians, who are doing every bending over backwards for them, because clearly it is a vote and number of Muslims in those electorates that is determining their decision making. So I won't apologise for any of that. I love this country, I love our culture, I love our way of life, and a lot of these people don't and would dearly love to change it.
So you do believe there are good Muslims in Australia, though, and that they do enrich our society more broadly, or would you be trying to stop any sort of Muslim migration to Australia?
Well, I want a vetting process that is going to be far more stringent. And as I said, I don't believe in women wearing the burqa. I don't believe in multiple marriages. I don't believe in the taxpayer funding this as well. That's not the Australian way of life. That's not the Australian culture. And that's things that we need to deal with, that governments are reluctant to do anything about it. So, you know, watch where we bring the people in from, which countries. I believe in what the policy of the Liberal Party policy was, these areas, 13 countries and 37 no-go zones, but vet the whole lot. We don't want their hatred brought out here. You know, people are in fear. We don't know who these people are. You've got 18,000 people on ASIO's watch list. Doesn't that tell you something? We're in a probable terrorist attack. Doesn't that tell you something? And my Facebook page, what I said, and I had so many people that are supporting me, ordinary Australians out there. So why don't you go and ask these imams and people about their hate speeches that they're saying on the streets? Why aren't they reined in? Why aren't they questioned? Why do they get away with it? So, you know, if you want to question me over it, then go and question right across the board.
Do you worry that you're deepening social divisions within Australian society, though, by lumping in a handful of extremists with the majority of Muslim Australians who speak to us, do wonderful things through Australian life?
I think that's a bit far-fetched, a handful. You know, we've had terrorist attacks in this country, and it's just not about the terrorist attacks, it's the change of way of life. It concerns me greatly that people can't go into certain suburbs in this country now.
Where do you have evidence that they can't go into certain suburbs?
Because they don't want to go in certain suburbs, and I've been there myself in Lakemba.
Which suburb?
You feel unwanted, you not want to be there. Lakemba. Have you been there?
We have been to Lakemba, and we're actually going to Western Sydney this Friday. Look, I want to take you, because we're going to run out of time, to some other policy issues you've been speaking about. Housing in particular seems to be a focus of the government. You've spoken about wanting Australians to be able to buy a home. Would you be supportive, if you have more political influence in the future, of winding back some tax breaks that go to property investors?
No, because if you actually get rid of the capital gains, it's not going to give any more money to the government. What we need those investors. They're the ordinary mums and dads, mainly teachers, people in the police, people who invest in their future by having a house. Not everyone wants to own their own home and want to actually rent. So you can't go out there and making changes to this. You can actually stop the multiple homes that they're owning. I'd only allow it up to 2 or 3 homes that you can actually home, not, you know, in the dozens or hundreds. Also, tackle the taxes of GST on new home build, which is about 40 to 44% taxes people pay. Stop the environmental carnage that's happening that people have to comply with. Even the disability that people building a new house have to put in bathrooms for disability people, which is costing anything in excess of $16,000. All these added costs. And then we want to take off the GST on building materials on a new build up to $1 million for 5 years. This will all aid in bringing down the cost of housing. Stop foreign investment of our housing. No, they've done nothing about that as well. So there's a lot of things that can be done.
Just before I let you go, you went to Mar-a-Lago at the end of last year. Did you spend much time with Donald Trump? Did anyone from his sort of broader MAGA circle offer you any advice or assistance at all?
I never met Donald Trump.
Oh, OK.
OK? I saw him in the distance, so I never met Donald Trump at all. I met his son, Eric, just very briefly for about a minute and said hello. So just remember that I've been around long before Donald Trump. My policies I've been espousing for many years before Donald Trump became president of America.
So you don't take any influence from what he has done in the United States?
My influence is from the Australian people first and foremost, and common sense, and having lived in this country and having a grassroots approach to it, and my experiences in life. That's where my policies come from. I agree with his policy in getting rid of this gender dysphoria rubbish that's happening in kids' operations, mutilation. Children should, male or female, there's only two sexes, male and female, and get transgender out of girls' sports. So on that page, we're the same. Controlling who comes in your country, we're on the same page.
Pauline Hanson, thank you for joining our program this morning.
Thank you.
Authorised by Pauline Hanson, 12 Baronia Road, Brisbane.